Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the FTC stopping their Microsoft Activision deal. Smack my bitch up. Well, as we all know, Activision Blizzard was in a lot of hot water. They've had a very downturn in the market. They've had a lot of employees leave. They've had a lot of protests over things that happened in the office. Now, they're all allegations, and as far as I know, they've settled some out of court. They've done this, they've done that, and these allegations continue today. They continue to go up the chain and right back down it. And it seemed that Microsoft was coming in to swoop up the company and try and buy them out and just make a merger out of the deal. Well, now it seems the FTC is moving to block that deal to completely ruin the chances of this merger going forward. So I brought up the article from TechCrunch. The FTC is suing to block Microsoft from buying Activision. This is a pretty big deal. This came out on the 8th. This has been kind of just floating in the background of a lot of people's mind right now. There's a lot of things going on with Twitter, so everyone's kind of not paying attention to what might be happening with this. The FTC announced Thursday that it would sue to block Microsoft's acquisition of the gaming giant Activision Blizzard. Microsoft plans to buy the company, which has been plagued by sexual harassment and discrimination allegations and labor disputes, back in January for $68.7 billion. That's a lot of money. That's more than Elon paid for Twitter. He paid $44 million. So let's take a second here and know that Microsoft is buying more than Elon in this circumstance, and it looks like the FTC is saying no way, not going to happen, because this merger is not going to happen. A little bit of a difference there. Elon Musk is working by himself as a entity doing a hostile takeover, where this is a merger of the two companies, kind of in a hostile takeover, but not really, because it still merges the two companies. We've actually got a similar thing happening up here in Canada with Shaw and Rogers over our internet right now, and it may not even go through for similar reasons why this won't go through. In its statement, the FTC cites concerns to the deal would enable Microsoft to suppress competitors to Xbox, including its paid Game Pass subscription service and cloud gaming services. Now, Microsoft isn't stopping anyone from buying their Game Pass. You can do a subscription for Game Pass and have it on your PC. Now, this might push forward where the Game Pass may end up on PlayStation and the Switch maybe down the road for them in order to do this. So this doesn't mean the deal is outright done. Microsoft can come back and say, listen, if we do these certain things, can the deal still go through? So that's what happens here, is a little bit of negotiation may happen there. And when you're talking about already $68 billion, that negotiation is a large place to be. Microsoft has already shown it can and will withhold content from its gaming rivals. Well, we've seen the same thing with, if you look at Android, if you look at Apple, they hold people off their platforms, off their Play stores. That's one way, and they also take a 30% cut. And on top of that, you've seen in the past games like Tekken, where if you bought it for the PlayStation, you had certain characters unlocked. If you bought it for the Xbox, you had other characters for unlocked, but they weren't interchangeable, right? So now this comes down to the forward motion of what's going to happen. There is a lot of more nuance to this than just saying, no, it's not going to happen unless you open these things up so titles can be interswappable. They can't, because copyright already ruled on that back in the day. Now you can turn around. You can turn around when it comes to ROMs and emulators. You can turn around and play emulated games on a different platform, right? So that's where this becomes a very convoluted mess of a takeover, of a bid. And one of the reasons why I'm thinking they're sitting there in the back of their heads, they may not even be thinking about this little bit of unknown copyright when it comes to emulation. Now, Nintendo has had most of their games hit the market in a ROM format. Now, if people make money off that, they've sent cease and desist in the past to stop people from making money. And it even got down to where people were making AdSense money off revenue off of it, and Nintendo did a cease and desist because they made a lot of money on it. With this certain circumstance here, this might end or make it worse depending on the way the courts go with this. They may make titles completely independent on their own platform. Right? We've seen Sony do it, we've seen Nintendo do it, and we've seen Microsoft do it as the console wars continue to fight out. So it's very interesting to see that this is there. So PlayStation maker Sony, Microsoft's console rival, has loudly objected to this proposed merger, which would consolidate some of the world's most popular games under the Xbox banner. In recent weeks, Microsoft has been attempting to stave off the regulatory threat by promising to give Call of Duty equal treatment on the PlayStation, and even agreeing to bring it to the franchise to Nintendo if a deal goes through. Part of this is they don't want to work with each other either. I know PlayStation and Nintendo have worked in the past on a lot of things. There was hidden talk that possibly the Nintendo controller was helped by Sony to make a newer version, or vice versa. So there is a little bit. I know Sony and Nintendo has always been friendly with each other. So it's very interesting to see. There's a lot of different ways this can go. There's a lot of different ways that this can just fall apart and it still goes through. Mergers are not generally a good thing when it comes to big companies like this, because they usually bring along a ton of layoffs and a consolidation of the two companies. So one gets enveloped and then the roles get doubled up. And because those roles get doubled up, you lose half the staff. And that's usually what happens with this type of thing. And for Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, with all the allegations that were going on, this would be a door to open, just to open the floodgates to let go of a lot of problematic employees in this circumstance. This would open that door up, and they would just say, okay, we're doing layoffs and all of these people are gone, right? So that's part of it here. So the FTC may be blocking this to stop that from happening, and we'll have to wait to see where this one lands. What are your thoughts on this one? Let me know down below. Maybe share this out and tell your friends that the FTC is looking at this with scrutiny, and we will have to wait to see where this one lands sometime very soon. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix Cineshadow. I'm signing off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you again later. Ruff, ruff.